of the courtroom under bright white light. Two plastic hearts found love at first sight. One had a bullet hole, the other had a frown. But when the trial paused, oh baby, love went down. It's hot mannequin love in the court of law. No breath, no blood, just a flawless jaw. Struck a pose, then struck a spark. Made of fiberglass, but lit up the dark. Hot mannequin love with the lens askew. Who knew Exhibit A would look so into you? She leaned just right, he's sweet just so. Like Cupid fired a dart through a Velcro torso. The jury looked confused, the bailiff blushed, the stenographer typed. Objection, they're flushed. Hot mannequin love, no heartbeat, no shame. But they set off fire a dart through a Velcro torso. The jury looked confused, the bailiff blushed, the stenographer typed. Objection, they're flushed. Hot mannequin love, no heartbeat, no shame. But they set off fire, the law's just the same. Crime scene dolls, now courtroom flames. In love so real, it should be in chains. Hot mannequin love, not legal but true. Just don't let the judge catch them kissing in view.
There we are. Happy Monday. If I don't start off one day muted, it's not really me. It's a fake. Just letting you know. At least I'm on the right mic this time. Anyway, thank you for starting early with me. Sorry for the short notice, but some things, sometimes things happen. So nothing bad. We're just going to start a little bit early tonight. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. I cannot complain at all. I had a great weekend. My husband actually took Friday off of work and didn't work. He tends to take days off because he has other things to do, but he actually spent the day with me. So it was a blast. And then I had my granddaughter the rest of the weekend, and that wore me out. Hey, Gabby. Hey. Hello, Tracy. How are you? Hope you guys got some rain. Hope that storm did not produce any fires. Dog Mom. Hello. Hey, Flashman. Hola, Ronnie. I'm scared to ask why you were knocked out. Could be a food coma. Could be medical reasons. I don't know, Flashman. You don't have to tell. So I remember last week when I told you a few times you were asleep. We were going to finish Betty this week, like that's it, unless something happened. Well, nothing happened. But we're not going to finish Betty this week. We're going to finish her on a week from today because I apparently did not look at her sentencing, and it's long. So we will get through everything I planned on getting through this week and then finishing with her sentencing on Monday, and then Betty's done. So I apologize. I looked today, I was like, gosh darn it. I thought I was going to be able to just do rebuttal, verdict, sentencing. Nope. It would be like 5 hours. And I just, I like the fact that these are just shorter videos and not, 6-7 hours long. So I want to keep it that way. I thought about starting like way, way earlier and trying to get it all in, but it's not that big of a deal. Well, I'm glad you had some rain, Tracy, to hopefully get those things under control. And hope they're not close to your house. Let me figure out what I'm doing. So We left off with the defense cross-examining Dr. Deetz. He is the state's second and last rebuttal witness. Thanks. The state spent about an hour and a half on direct examination, and we've been with the defense ever since. There's been 4 parts to this. We are on the final part. I think we were all ready to just kind of bang our heads lightly against a wall on Thursday because it's like the defense just seemed to be just running us in a circle with his questions. And the doctor was even kind of like, I don't know what you're asking me. And the rest of us didn't either. If Dr. Deetz doesn't know what he was asking, there's no way the rest of us could figure that out probably either. Not saying we're stupid. I'm just saying Dr. Deetz seems very smart, very well-educated, and very knowledgeable about what he is testifying about, which is Betty. And, he went through all the stuff, all the 9 reasons. There may be more now. This is 1991, remember? So when they talk about, I think it's the DSM-3, I think we're on 5 now, if not higher. I'm really not sure. Don't keep up on that. But he listed the 9 things like this that made her, this is her narcissistic personality traits. And you could see it just if you went back to what Betty testified with. Betty's own words could be, you just look at those and go, yeah, it's a little narcissistic. He's talked about her having a, what is that? Borderline personality disorder. Did I say that right? I always want to say split personality, and I know that's not right, and I know it's not the same thing, but it's what goes through my head. Talked about that some. We heard the defense read from Betty's, I think it was her diary from the marriage encounter that her and Dan went to, I believe in the late 70s. They were kind of interesting. Betty actually showed some emotion. I don't know if it was Thursday or if it was Tuesday that we were watching when she was crying. It seemed legit. Because we've seen her kind of like when she very first started testifying, she cried. Like it came up on her when she wasn't ready. And then there was other times where I don't know if she was just able to, just get her composure very quickly or what, when she was testifying that she would kind of start crying, but she either reined it back in or she was faking it. I don't know. Not her. So I'm not really gonna guess I make that call. I think I probably did at the time we watched it, which was probably not appropriate, but it is what it is. Dog Mom, we don't really use the DSM-5 in court any longer. There's a lot of forensic psychologists that have decided to not rely on it as much as in previous years. Interesting. Antisocial personality disorder, is that what that's called now? Or is that different? Good luck, Carmen. Let me know how it goes. Also, drive safely. Fluffy big bone Betty Broderick. Gabby, I can't do that without saying Indy 500. Betty Broderick. And I know that's weird, but that's the way I have to do it. That's the way I learned to do it. I don't think that one, Flashman. That's what it's called. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm going in my own brain. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. This is the last day that we will see Dr. Deetz. tomorrow we will do the state's closing arguments. On Wednesday, we will do the defense's closing arguments. Thursday will be state's rebuttal, and we'll do verdict. And then on Monday, we'll do the sentencing. I didn't realize that there's argument. It looks like I didn't listen to it. I just was kind of going through like, what is so long here? There's argument, looks like, between the state and defense. And then it looks like there are some family members that speak. I think maybe on her behalf. I don't know if it's just on her behalf. Again, because I didn't listen. I just was trying to see what was going on. What's up, Zach? Am I supposed to scratch my neck? That's a mighty big fish you're holding there, Zach. I don't know if she's still here. She may not see that, Zach. Yes, it is not a 12-hour sentencing. I would just be like, here's what it was. That's all. The end. Aw, thanks, Zach. Oh, no. Baker's here. What's up, Sue? Welcome to all you Bakerators. I appreciate it. Thank you, Baker. I'm on the right mic this time. You don't have to nicely call me a dumbass, which is basically what you were nicely doing to me last week, and I totally deserved it. You didn't say that. That's just in my head. So for those of you just joining us, we are watching what's up, Baker? Whoops. We're watching the Betty Broderick trial from 1991. She is on trial for allegedly unaliving her ex-husband, his new wife, Linda Kolkena. They'd been married for 6 months at the time of the incident. Hey, Celestial Force, how are you? Good to see you. Dan and Linda had an affair when Dan hired Linda to work at his law firm. She was 21. He was, I think, pushing 40. I don't remember exactly how old they were. There was an age difference. Bitter divorce. And then you had 3 people that treated each other really badly. I think they were all really horrible to each other. We'll never hear Dan and Linda's side because they're not here to tell us. But Betty just did the most horrible thing. I don't have any other way to say it. Hey, Shinny. How you doing? Good to see you. I start that, Dog Mom. So Betty fits antisocial personality disorder due to is that supposed to be the fact she is borderline narcissistic? I remember reading a lot about how her tendencies towards more of the role of always being the victim. Well, she definitely plays that one well. She's definitely the victim. So we are going to get started here. We are on cross-examination of the state's last rebuttal witness, Dr. Deetz. The defense attorney's been cross-examining him. Not a lot of great questions coming out so far. Mostly just feels like he's been kind of running us in a circle. So do have it boosted, have it sped up just a touch. So let me know if everything is okay, and let's get started.
Were you able to see the notes as far as Mr. Broderick's description of his wife when she first saw Dr. Zedimer?
I was able to see what Dr. Zedimer had said had happened sometime before that admission.
Okay, and that was that she was having some extreme problems with depression and acting out.
When he first took her there, yes.
Now at when you reviewed Dr. Nelson's testimony, he indicated that depression was significant that he saw. Is that correct?
I thought Dr. Nelson said that depression was not the primary issue for her.
Well, did he indicate that it wasn't pathological, but it was significant? You remember his testimony about the depression?
Your Honor, I've asked.
Show the transcript. Well, if he doesn't remember, then I'll show him the transcript itself. Page 735. The answer.
He's saying statistically significant.
And that's your reading that he felt it was statistically significant?
He's talking about how many standard deviations from the mean.
Now, what?
But he goes on in the same sentence to say, but it's not the overriding issue in her personality.
Okay. But it's a feature of her personality, is that correct? A feature of her makeup is depression.
Well, not of her makeup. See, people with any of the personality disorders can get depressed. And there were times Mrs. Broderick was depressed.
But she has been at least diagnosed at the hospital. The final diagnosis was one of, on axis 1 of bipolar depression, was it not?
No, it was a bipolar mania,
Okay.
which is the opposite of depression.
The was there a diagnosis by well, it was a bipolar affective disorder mixed, is that correct? And that she was in the hypomanic phase at that time.
That's what they said, right? And based on what they knew,
That's all I'm
I may
asking.
have believed it, but that we know that's not so.
But that was their diagnosis at the time.
Based on the slice of life they saw right after ramming the door, that's what they thought.
And then there was another diagnosis given, Dr. Jacobson also gave a diagnosis, did he not? Jacobson, I'm sorry.
Yes, he said, well, I'm not sure what his ultimate diagnosis was. I saw that less than a month before ramming the door, he wrote, "As for now, Betty keeps busy enough to not be seriously depressed."
Did, at some point, did you get any information that, well, first of all, what is the definition of the bipolar disorders?
Bipolar disorder is diagnosed when someone has had one or more manic episodes. This is a change from the older idea of manic depressive illness. It used to be thought that, well, what is now thought is that there is a condition known as bipolar affective illness in which people become manic, and they are then at risk of being people who will become depressed. Mania is a condition in which people have excessive energy, feel too powerful, don't feel a need for sleep. They have increased energy, increased sex drive, may do various things to excess, and may also become psychotic. If someone has had an episode of behavior that meets a particular list of criteria for mania, then they receive the diagnosis of bipolar, but it doesn't mean that they have ever been depressed. You can be bipolar without having been depressed.
Okay. Some of the areas for manic,
Dog Mom, I wonder if that's one of the changes. I mean, we're looking at 30 plus years ago, and I'm sure things have kind of changed, but I mean, I know they have, but I've kind of wondered that too. Like, you're right. It's literally depression. And Betty said she was depressed. I think they've shown that she was definitely depressed. I also forgot to tell you guys, this audio on these is really pretty decent, but the chairs in this courtroom are the squeakiest chairs we've ever heard in our entire lives. We just really want to take them and roll them all off a cliff. It does get annoying, and I don't know. They apparently did not know what WD-40 was back in 1991 because they needed it.
Is that the manic episode is inflated self-esteem or grandiosity is not.
That's one.
More talkative than usual or pressure to keep talking.
Yes.
The flight of ideas is subjective experience, thoughts that are racing.
Yes.
Do you see those at all in Elizabeth Broderick?
Well, there are things that make one have to consider that. There are times that that she was very energetic. There certainly was evidence of her having some grandiosity. None of it reached the proportions that I think qualify for a manic episode, nor was the duration of this cluster of features such that I think it would qualify. I don't think anyone ever said that they thought she had a true manic episode, but at the time of that hospitalization, they thought she was hypomanic. Now, that's a label that would be given to someone who's just very energetic and talks fast. And it's not an indication of particularly serious pathology. There are lots of highly functioning people who are hypomanic.
Well, she had, but that wasn't her final diagnosis, though, was it? Hypomanic.
I thought they said bipolar disorder mixed type hypomanic phase.
Yeah, the phase was hypomanic that she was in.
Right, and that's the only time anyone ever thought she was even hypomanic, let alone manic.
And you're saying that that would be a diagnosis that you would give on axis 1 if it only happens one time?
If someone had a manic episode, that would be a bipolar diagnosis on axis 1. Pardon me?
Sorry for interrupting.
In the absence of some other explanation for why they acted that way.
Well, would that be a diagnosis as a that you would give that this person is bipolar? You would give the diagnosis that's here?
If what?
If there's only the one episode, that's it. You have the one episode, no evidence of other episodes. That would be a diagnosis that you would give.
If someone had one episode of true mania, it would be correct, ruling out other causes of that behavior, to give a diagnosis of bipolar, yes.
What is another indication is distractibility, attention too easily drawn to unimportant or irrelevant external stimuli. It's another factor that you would look for. Is that correct?
It is. That's one, of course, Mrs. Broderick never had. Nothing distracted her from her quest.
Okay. So whatever was on, whenever she was looking at something, there was never where she would divert her attention to things that were irrelevant to to her quest.
She was quite single-minded about getting revenge against Dan and Linda.
Excessive involvement in pleasurable activities, including buying sprees. Would that also be one that you would look at?
That's a feature of mania.
You didn't see any buying sprees on her part.
It looked
No.
like she was always buying.
Yes.
The
Try.
and what would be the definition of and when they talk about the mood, is it not true that the dominant mood disturbance may be irritability and may be most apparent when the person is thwarted?
Yes.
The one of the associated features is that the person does not recognize that they're ill and they resist all efforts for treatment. Is that correct?
That's a feature of many conditions. It's true in mania as well, because they feel on top of the world and everything's perfect. They don't want to give up the symptom.
Another common associated feature is rapid shifts of mood to anger or depression.
In mania, is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Yes.
These
Depression
questions.
may be expressed by tearfulness, suicidal threats that may last moments, hours, not often days or rarely days.
May I see what you're reading from?
Yes.
Oh, dog mom, I'm sure it's very confusing, especially for you. I wish he could do whatever Spock does and make those chairs quit being so squeaky. They're really bad today.
Right. Those are associated features, not criteria for the diagnosis.
Sometimes the depressive and manic symptoms can occur simultaneously, or they may alternate rapidly within a few days.
That can happen.
Ooh, she looks tired.
Now, when we talk about major depression, there's the associated symptoms include appetite disturbance and change in weight. Is that correct?
The associated symptoms of
A major depressive episode.
that may happen in a major depressive episode.
Okay.
Of course, that's not the most common cause for people gaining or losing weight.
Okay. But that's something that may happen.
Yes.
Change, sleep disturbance,
Yes.
difficulty thinking or concentrating,
Yes.
reoccurrent thoughts of death or suicidal ideation or attempts.
Right.
When you have, are you familiar with the term suicidal gesture?
Sure.
Okay, now there are times that people make an attempt or make a gesture at suicide that is not just to get attention, isn't there?
There are other reasons for suicide attempts and other reasons for suicidal gestures besides getting attention. Yes.
Sometimes you have people who do suicidal gestures. They'll have thoughts about wanting to die as a solution, but also have some very strong feelings about not wanting to die, to live. Isn't that correct?
That's something that can happen.
Okay, and that can have some effect about maybe where they might not be successful, or they may not do a very serious attempt at suicide. Would you agree with that?
If somebody's not sure they want to do it,
Yes.
yes, they may do various things to prevent it from being a real attempt.
Okay, and it may be part of the association, may be that they have a part of them that wants to die, and also it may be a way of getting attention or manipulating somebody. Would you agree with that?
Yes, it could be all of those things at once.
When we talk about impairment in major depressive episodes, there's various degrees, is there not? There's various
Correct.
types of criterion that you look at.
There are particular levels of severity that are described in the manual.
You can have a major depressive episode, and there is a code that you would then put as to the level of the severity. Is that correct?
Right. These aren't used most of the time, but the code's available.
And one of the codes is mild, few if any symptoms in excess of those requiring a diagnosis. Symptoms result in only minor impairment or in occupational function or in usual social activities or relationships. That's one. Is that correct?
Correct.
And even though you would have that, you can still have a major depressive episode and still have the mild, what appears to be mild symptoms to the outside world.
Not just the outside world, you can have a mild case of it.
And then there's a moderate, which is symptoms or functional impairment between mild and severe. Is that correct?
Right.
And then there's severe, several symptoms in excess of those required to make the diagnosis. And symptoms markedly interfere with occupational function or with social activities or relationships with others. Isn't that correct? That's what severe is.
That's right.
Okay. And when we're talking about severe, that means that somebody whose depression might be bad enough that they might not get out of bed or might not keep appointments or not go out socially because they're depressed. That would be more of the severe category. Interferes with their social activities.
Well, the cause of impairment in one's functioning has to be the depression.
Yes. Okay. The someone who may stay in their room at times when there's other people around or go off by themselves, that would be something that would be more of the severe because it interferes with their social activities. If it's related to the depression.
Someone who's severely depressed will often be withdrawn, will be unable to speak. People will have to come into the room and ask them if they're hungry and encourage them to eat. They will have to be spoon-fed and led to food some of the time. They will let themselves waste away without being encouraged to eat. May not have the energy to walk to the kitchen to get food, won't have the energy to walk into the bathroom, and may stay in the bed. And people who are severely depressed are highly dysfunctional and can be completely withdrawn that way.
They'll find themselves walking from counter to counter, almost holding themselves up.
No, that's a more histrionic sort of behavior.
Okay. That's not has anything to do with depression.
Holding oneself up, walking.
No, in other words, if they don't have the energy, sometimes the people will find themselves going to a room and just sitting down or leaning against something just because they do not have energy to do things, going to the bathroom.
That can happen, but the real point is they feel too fatigued to do anything. They just feel absolutely overwhelmed and drained. Don't feel they have the energy to put on clothes. Don't feel they have the energy to tend to the chores. Don't feel they have the energy to do any of the things that they really ought to be doing.
Okay. And you can see that sometimes in their appearance, letting themselves go, not attending to themselves physically.
For prolonged periods of time, right?
Yeah.
And again, for it to be major depression, there have to be enough of these symptoms, I think it's 5 or more, simultaneously every day for weeks.
Well, doesn't the DSM-3 say almost every day?
And I think I've said that many times in my testimony too, every day or nearly every day.
Okay. And now people who
Please tell me he's not trying to get to the point of she went to Dan's house to self-delete because she didn't. I don't believe that she did that. I think she went over there exactly to do exactly what she did. She said in her book, the one she released in 2023 from prison. Don't know how, but she did. She said that in the summary, it said that she went over there to confront them. And she went over there like 5:30 in the morning. They were sleeping, to confront them. And she put rounds in them because it was self-defense. That was one story. That's the latest story, I guess, because her original one that I had heard her say was she went over there to self-delete. Neither of those things happened. And I don't know how you have to have self-defense when people are sleeping in their beds, which they were. Well, good luck, Carmen. Just ask them in the front. Exactly. It's a real cheap, dirt cheap, sand cheap.
who also when people have some severe or are suffering from severe depression, different times of the day can give them different energy levels, can it not?
When they're suffering from what?
When they're suffering from severe depression.
Well, if they're suffering from a major depressive episode, time of day can make a difference. when it's severe enough, they may be incapacitated all day long.
Well, we go from severe to, then after that, we go to the next phase with psychotic features. Is that correct?
That's not another phase, it's a separate dimension as to whether or not people are psychotic. The assumption underlying the classification is that one could have a mild case of depression and still be psychotic. Even though mostly functioning, one could still think that one's guts were rotting from the inside, or that the world was about to come to an end, and yet still function. But I think that truth is that mostly it's the severe depressions that are psychotic, where people think that everything horrible is happening and develop delusions. And certainly anybody who's got those kinds of delusions, I would call psychotically depressed and severely depressed.
Well, there's examples of people who have severe depression who function. Mike Wallace, for instance, is someone who has said that he's functioned on interviews, been severely depressed, doesn't even remember what he did, but was on TV doing major things.
Well, he's not using the DSM-3R language when he calls that severe. He's describing his own estimate of severity. If he were still able to function, then psychiatrically, technically, it wouldn't be severe. But it's true that there are people with major depressive illness who function very well. Abraham Lincoln suffered from it.
And are you familiar with William Styron?
Not his diagnoses, no.
But are you familiar with who the person is?
Sort of embarrassed to say, I'm not sure, but I think he's a novelist.
Yeah, from Sophie's Choice, he also wrote Out of Darkness.
I don't know much about him. I've heard the name.
You're not familiar with his writings about suffering from depression and getting Pulitzer Prize, showing up, functioning on a day-to-day basis.
Objection, how's this going?
Sustained.
What are the criteria for a major depressive syndrome?
They're as set forth in DSM-3R.
Okay.
To have the, I'm sorry,
Okay, we've gone through some. One is the depressed mood nearly every day for as you indicated, a 2-week period.
right. But it has to be a prolonged period. It's not arbitrarily really 2 weeks, but there has to be a prolonged period of this multiplicity of symptoms simultaneously.
Okay, so it can be depending on all the symptoms. It can be as short as 2 weeks or longer.
That's right.
Okay. The significant weight loss or weight gain. That's one, is it not?
Yes.
Insomnia or hypersomnia nearly every day.
Yes.
The fatigue or loss of energy every day.
Right.
And some recurrent thoughts of death or recurrent suicidal ideation without a specific plan.
Right.
The now, when you were going through the does the feeling of helplessness or hopelessness, is that a concept that is in the area of depression?
Depressed people often have those features.
Okay, and what does that mean?
The perception of helplessness is the feeling that one really hasn't got control and that one can't take care of oneself. The feeling of hopelessness has to do with one's perceptions of the future and the feeling that the future doesn't hold out hope, that there's nothing to look forward to. It can occur in depression.
I think before we took the break, we were talking about cyclothymia.
I wasn't.
Okay. Was there a diagnosis at some point of that? Or at least
Doctor-
from Dr. Jacobson?
Yes, that's right.
And what does that mean?
Cyclothymia is the condition of some moodiness in which one will have days that one feels very energetic and enthusiastic, maybe excessively so, wanting to take other people out after work, wanting to do more than you expect the person to want to do. And other days they're feeling down and leave work early or don't feel like they have much energy or think things are bad. But it never reaches the extremes of being a major depression or, in the other direction, a manic episode. It's a more minor vacillation of moods between feeling better and feeling worse. It's not incapacitating. Medications usually aren't even used to treat it, and it's a fairly common condition.
The
Well, I think he just described me. Somebody warned my husband, I guess. I don't know. I just thought that was normal. Maybe now it is. Maybe now it's considered normal.
when you look at Elizabeth Broderick's personality disorder, I take it that you feel that it colors her way of looking at things. Would that be a good description?
It colors her way of responding to things.
And some of that, the way she responds to it, some of it is maybe based on prior incidences that she's been involved in, or that have happened to her.
That's true for everyone, yes.
When you read her diaries, did you run across any writings about the fact that, where she talked about hiding the affair and problems with Dan from the children, and that was going to be something that she didn't feel she wanted to do anymore?
I recall at least one mention of that. I don't recall where it was.
The you indicated that there were some examples of manipulation, and those were ones that you remembered with the children. Is that correct? Remembered some manipulation with the children?
Got many, many examples of manipulation with the children.
And that's something that happens in divorces at times, does it not?
Well, not to this extent.
But it happens in
Sure.
divorces at times, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Both sides can manipulate the children by putting them in the middle.
Yes.
There is, you found within her examples of lack of empathy.
I found evidence that she lacks empathy, yes.
Okay. Now, some of that can relate back to at least the circumstances that have happened to her in the past, where she might overreact in the future to those things. In other words, if there's a set of circumstance that something has happened to her that's bad, she might overreact to that in the future by not having empathy towards her reaction might have towards third people.
Well, lack of empathy isn't an over response, it's an under response. The lack of empathy is her not concerning herself with how other people will feel about what she does to them.
The one of the examples that you've given is the fact that she, at least in your diagnosis, is the fact that she was preoccupied with envy, looking for how Dan and Linda were living. Looking at Dan and Linda as to their lifestyle and envious of that.
Right.
Your Honor. Answer can stand, go ahead.
The fact is that during this period of time, she was going through litigation with them, wasn't she?
Not for the entire period that she was feeling envious. Well, I guess there were some unresolved issues still.
Okay. Well, until 1989, there was no resolution of any of the property matters, was there?
At the time of the homicides, I thought a lot of things were resolved.
In the 1989, January of 89, up until the 5 years or 4 years up to January of 1989, she had been through a divorce where there had been no resolution, where the property issues had not been resolved.
Objection, Your Honor. I don't think, the misstates evidence on you get to that.
Sustained.
Well, when you're looking at how someone reacts to something, of whether they're envious, one of the situations is that that you looked at, wasn't there, that there were property issues that were being litigated? Isn't that correct?
Not exactly. I mean, I was aware of the litigation. I don't know all the details of it. What I relied on is the knowledge that whatever those issues may in fact have been, we see a preoccupation with envy. For example, her becoming upset that Dan was taking Linda to the Blackstone Ball instead of her. That was nearly 2 years after the separation. Regardless of what's resolved about the property, that's still an indication of envy, or her anger at
Well,
Dan and
first
Linda
of all,
for getting married
Can you show
the
me
same
that?
month Dan had. And what's that? That doesn't have anything to do with what's resolved or not. For her to get angry that they chose the same month to marry in, April, that's envy. And there's a litany of these things. Even getting upset that Dan and Linda would so much as consider having children together. That's not about whether the litigation of the property was over.
Isn't that also normal things that happen to people, that when you plan to have a 20-year anniversary, where you plan to have a trip on that, and the person gets married almost the same weekend, 20 years later, that's also can be hurtful, can it not, to somebody?
You bet. All of these sorts of things can cause pain, can cause upset, but she over-responds. She doesn't just get upset or shed a tear and go back to life. She stays on this campaign of revenge, intimidation, harassment up till the day she kills them.
Well,
That's not normal.
okay. And you're saying that that there was no stress involved in the litigation that was going on.
Of course it was stressful. It always is.
Okay. And will the stress of the litigation affect how somebody looks at it?
Objection, that's beyond what he testified to.
Earl, you can answer that.
Ronnie, I did too. Dog Mom said she was reading something about Linda. I don't remember. I don't remember where she said the information that she saw came from, but that Linda didn't have any problems. She didn't take any issue with the fact that she was just destroying a marriage by when she started having her affair with Dan. Obviously, it takes both of them to have the affair, but that kind of gave me a new perspective on Linda, although I defended Linda being young and, not having her mature brain yet at 26. And maybe not just because she was young, not realizing, what was going to happen. Obviously not their deaths, but just everything that she was putting in motion to destroy this couple's family. And again, she didn't act alone. So, but yeah, so I kind of changed my perspective on Linda a little bit because oh, you were okay. You were okay with that. That's not good. Yeah, a marriage and children. Yep. Hey, Teresa. Yeah. Dr. Deetz, I was a little nervous to watch this part. I don't know why I was kind of dreading it some. Some of it's dry. It was more interesting when the state was on direct with him because their questions were more direct. Ross has been watching paint dry sometimes, but he's interesting. He's straightforward, just tells you like it is. And it's just it. This is what the answer is. So I have liked him. Hello, Christine. I hope the temperature has cooled off where you are. I heard it was very warm there for you when I was watching your show on replay. So I hope you're staying cool. I don't know that she pursued it. I don't know. I thought it was kind of mutual, I guess. I thought Dan probably pursued her first always, but I don't know. Oh, no, I don't think that. No. Sorry if I said that wrong. Linda didn't have a problem having the affair and destroying Dan and Betty's marriage. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Yeah, which changed my mind about Linda. I always felt sorry for her. Like she just got caught up in this mess of a relationship. But I still stand on the fact that I think Dan would have traded her in for a newer model, just as he did with Betty. And that person would have looked like Linda and Betty, because Linda and Betty look a lot alike especially when Betty was younger. So hard to say. Betty could have, I've said it 1,000 times. Too bad she didn't walk away. She was getting a ton of money in spousal support every month. She could have had a good life, and her and Linda maybe could have became friends. Yes, too bad Linda didn't listen, Kathy. Well, Shinny, I forget you have that connection of the connection you have to this. I forget that part. So I'll believe you. And maybe she was after the money. Dan had a lot.
This will affect how people feel.
Of course, one of the things you have to look at is what's happening to the person. It's on an ongoing basis to find out why they may be continually upset. Do you not?
Objection, we've been over this area several times.
Just ask and answer, sustained.
You have to,
I meant to get the Bueller
in the
sound bite
diary,
to play during this.
in diary number 1, did she write about the decisions that Dan was making in regards to her life, and he was making all those decisions on her own?
Would you show me what you're referring to?
Yes. She talked about being upset about
Because I'm an objector to come to the diary entry unless Dr. Deetz or rely on that particular entry.
Sustained.
well, Dr. Deetz, you went to the diary and you picked out a few passages, but you indicated that reading the whole diary gives you a flavor for this person. Is that correct?
You get a very good idea from the entire diary of what she was complaining about during the time she made notes in the diary.
Okay.
But I only relied on portions of the diary that I thought showed something specifically relevant.
Well, so that if she had diary entries that talked about things that were happening to her throughout the divorce, that might have had some effect on why she might be enraged or bothered, would you consider every diary page and those effects they might have had on her?
I was aware of what she was responding to. And
Okay. So those were things that you considered.
for each of the things I relied on, I was aware of what she thought was the cause, why she thought everything was someone else's fault. There's never a time that she thought anything was her fault. And so there's always something she's blaming for it. And I knew what those were.
Well, last year when the question was asked by the district attorney at the trial, do you take responsibility for what happened in the divorce? She said, I take 50%. I take half the responsibility. Didn't she say that?
I don't recall if she said that or not. Her diaries sure don't have her taking any responsibility for anything.
Your Honor, if he could be directed to answer the question. And,
It's just answering your question, Mr. Wood. Go ahead.
Okay.
About the diary, you switched over, you switched back. Go ahead.
Your Honor, he's volunteered a statement I would like to introduce then. Can we approach the bench, Your Honor?
Oh, do you want to show on the page of the transcript about 50/50? Sure.
No. He just made a, may we approach the bench, an all-inclusive statement about the diaries never showed. I'd like to be heard.
All right.
Doctor,
I hope we get to hear the diaries. We heard Betty's testimony. Betty did not take any responsibility for anything. Nothing. That's right. It's never my fault. When are you going to learn? Jeez, you're so slow. You should have, Shani, you should use Puddletown's autocorrect on that. Geezer Louise. Geezer Louise. I don't know what he's trying. She's not taking responsibility. I don't care if she wrote it down. She still doesn't take responsibility. That's why she has not ever they've never granted her parole. Because she will not take responsibility for what she's done. She shows zero remorse. And it's just ridiculous. Oh, nobody, Flashman. I was just reading Shenny's comment.
the page I showed you, did you consider that page?
I read it.
And did that have any significance of why she might be enraged or why she might be angry about any various items that you've mentioned out of the diary?
Sure, she indicates what she was complaining about.
Would that have anything to do with why she might be looking to see what kind of things Dan has because of problems with finances being switched?
I don't understand what you're asking about problems with the finances being switched.
Would it show her concern? Would it have, when you talked about the area of envy and the area, other areas of narcissism, with the fact of her being overdrawn, no savings left at the time of being left, and problems with community money being spent on Linda before the divorce, did you consider that in considering the amount of reaction she had later on?
I don't know if any of those are facts. Mind you, the diaries contain Mrs. Broderick's side of a story. Sometimes I know the other side of the story. Whenever there's another living witness telling another side of the story, it seems to differ from Mrs. Broderick's, but I don't always know the other side of the story. And which things are facts and which are things she says is really for the jury to determine. I can't determine the facts that underlie some of these complaints of hers.
Did you consider those facts?
I considered her side of the story often, and where there was another living witness, the other side of the story too. But again, I don't have a way to resolve the factual questions that are for the jury.
In 85, was she talking at all about wanting an accounting of community property?
Objection, Your Honor. We've already argued about this. Let's see, you show the page and consider this basis, we can talk about it.
Is that what you want me to do? Did you, if I can show you a page, did you consider that page?
Not particularly.
I thought about that too, Shenny. Be crazy.
Did you consider the any of the? Did you talk in the diary about problems with her house and problems about the boys being alone at home and playing with
Objection,
matches?
Your Honor.
Did you consider that?
She did talk about those things in her diary.
Did you consider those?
I considered those complaints, yes.
And let me show you a page and ask you if this was something that you would consider.
I'm aware of all this.
Did do you remember a page in the diary where she indicated that at some point in time?
I would stand objection unless he's using it as a basis for his opinion. It's improper for counsel to do what he's doing.
Well, you have a question first, go ahead.
Did you consider a page in the diary where she said that she was angry at some point, that her anger she thought was getting the best of her and she didn't think she should have the children at that time?
No.
I'm asking him if he
didn't consider.
Well, I'd like to see what diary page is referring to.
If he's alluding to the fact that there's a diary page that exists, we'd like to see it.
Well, I'll. Maybe this would be the time to take the morning recess, Ron.
Fine. For purpose of scheduling, ladies and gentlemen, my bailiff has relayed your consensus to me, which I certainly will comply with. You have been more than patient with us. We will certainly accommodate you. We'll take our our lunch recess now until 1:30. Please remember the admonition. When we reach a convenient point with the witnesses to break between 2 and 3 o'clock, we'll take our afternoon recess at that time. And thank you for your patience with us. And this is some small way we can repay you. Have a nice lunch.
It'll be a quick one.
Sure.
Did he have the diary page? Because they're like, we want to see the diary page. If he's alluding to the diary page. And then he was like, can we take the break now? And we didn't get to see. Ah, dang.
I take it when you were talking about the going through Mrs. Broderick's diary, you indicated that there was very little as far as her depression, other than you remember one thing that I mentioned, is that correct? Was something about shaking in her bed?
Oh, there are frequent mentions of one or the other of the sorts of
That's for
symptoms
TV,
that can
not
occur in
me.
depression. But there is never, as I said, a pattern of multiple symptoms simultaneously and evidence of it being persistent enough to meet the criteria. But there are lots of references to one or another symptom.
You mean, so what she doesn't do is that in the DSM-3, don't they say that even people who are having a depressive episode, their descriptions will be sometimes just as simple as I just feel bad or I don't feel good, they don't explain well what they're feeling.
That's true of when patients present.
The you talked about the sense of entitlement with the in the diary. Do you have that entry in the diary? Do you have that entry in the diary, or you just have your notes?
I just have my notes.
Okay, so you did not do a entry yourself, or you don't recall doing an entry yourself as to the you didn't make a copy of that entry in the diary.
I had the complete diaries.
But you didn't make a copy. You took notes and wrote your notes down. Is that
That's right.
correct? Okay, what are your notes say was in the diary?
I've
That's
got,
kind of vague, as what part of that?
Doc, you know what I'm referring to? There was a list of things for Christmas that you didn't have.
I don't have that under preoccupied with feelings of envy.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what we're talking about, envy?
Well, it wasn't an entitlement.
Oh, entitlement, I'm sorry. Yes, I have that here.
Okay, and what was in the entry of that in the diary?
What I have in this excerpt is, and it's not the only excerpt from that period that I have here, but in that entry, what I read yesterday was Christmas 1987. My lifestyle has been trashed. No tree, no one to help carry it in, load the car, etc. No one to see it, no party, no kids, no attic, no coffee table, no country club memberships, no boat for parade of lights, no jag, only truck, no escort, no parties, no gowns, no presents by or for me, no ski trip, no large party, no money.
Now, were you aware that some of her Christmases were alone?
Yes,
Okay. And were you aware that Christmases were an important part of her life before?
yes.
And that what you read to that page end, was that something that, was that the exact quotes from the page, summary of it?
That was a passage from that page, I think. There is some material that appeared between the heading Christmas 1987 and the first line that I was quoting, my lifestyle has been trashed. But I thought I had the quotation from my lifestyle has been trashed down through no money.
Now, she has also, in other years, also made lists of things that she did not, about Christmas, the things she didn't have. Is that correct?
She often made lists of various things of that sort, not just at Christmas.
Now, showing you a entry December 6th.
I was trying to be nice, Jenny. It's never flashed this much.
December 6th is another list of the things that she doesn't have for Christmas. Is that correct?
I don't know what year this is. You said this was,
It's a December 6th diary entry. It's talks about some of the things about Christmas, does it not?
You want to know if you know what year it was, Mr. Earl?
yes, it does.
Okay. Now, did you take that into consideration? That's her sense of entitlement?
Well, I took this into account in looking at the evidence about Mrs. Broderick. This is not about a sense of entitlement.
Well,
The answer is no.
but this is also a Christmas list, isn't it?
No, this is why she's depressed. According to the top of the entry, she's saying that she's depressed because the kids are with her and because she didn't get to go to the Blackstone Ball. And she's got a list of the things that are depressing her.
She's talking about overwhelmingly depressed, and she has some things that she has missing.
Objection as to counsel reading this page.
Well, he mischaracterized it, Your Honor. I'd like to at least let the jury know what the truth is.
No
Objection to that.
argumentative statements that he mischaracterized.
Sir, under overwhelmingly depressed, she had the things that were missing, and the things she had missing, the kids being there, right? It doesn't say missing, and then there's a column
It
next,
says missing.
and then
it
it says,
says, well, maybe I did misunderstand it, but has listed there kids here, Danny and Red.
Yes, she's missing having the kids here. She's saying.
That's not
Argumentative, just ask them a question.
Okay, I'll ask you a question.
Want to
Can I
start?
ask you a question?
You bet.
The, she's talking about things that are going on in December, is that correct?
I believe she's talking about what was happening right around then.
Okay. She talks about being overwhelmingly depressed, does she not?
Grief.
She doesn't talk about it, she just says overwhelmingly depressed.
Okay. And she talks about huge weight gain, doesn't fit in any clothes.
That's there.
She talks about buying things she couldn't afford, like a Christmas tree.
She says, she implies there that she couldn't afford a Christmas tree, that's right.
Okay. And she talks about problems she was having of roofs leaking, termites in the house.
Yes,
Okay, those are things that happen a lot of times when people are depressed, is that things, at least in their minds, everything seems to be going wrong, doesn't it?
happens even to people who aren't depressed, that everything sometimes seems to be going wrong.
The,
I think that's
and
the
before the
prosecutor.
test finished, Your Honor, I would like the same courtesy of seeing all the pages he's referred to. As often.
All right there, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm pulling the pages out and showing them to him. I think I have the right to the same courtesy as when they asked him to refer to.
Mr. Early, this is inappropriate. You have a question, ask him.
Doctor, could you get for me the pages you've referred to in your
That's
testimony?
not an appropriate question, Mr. Early. It's right there. Look at them all if you want later. Ask him questions.
Doctor, what diary did you get, the one that you referred to as Christmas 1987?
The one labeled Christmas 1987 on that page.
Okay, and was it at the beginning of that diary?
Couldn't tell you.
Can you show me the other, can you tell me the other diary entries that you've looked at, that you referred to?
Not the state coffin. I thought it was her.
May,
Oh,
June
it
1987. A letter to Mr. Ashworth in the diary that's undated, but the entry following it is 1086. An undated entry followed by one dated Easter 86. And I need clarification of whether the question is just the ones I've testified about or others that
Yes, just the ones you testified.
I may have mentioned one or two that I haven't testified about so far. I haven't, for example, testified yet about the May, June 87 entry.
And when you say May, June 87, is that the date of, is your understanding is the date of the diary or just the date of about the time of the entry?
About the time. Sometimes they're undated, and we've made the best effort to try to figure out the time period from the context.
The,
It's an entry I refer to dated January 3, 1988.
I'm not calling Mr. Early dumb. He hasn't had much to work with here client-wise. But it feels like this doctor is really good at just kind of inserting things that he's not ready for, and it throws him off a little bit because he's like, oh, I'm not talking about that one. I was talking about this one, and then everybody's going to want to know what that one is. I don't know if he's going to ask about it or not, but he's done this to him the entire time, and it does seem to throw Mr. Early off just a little bit. Now, I know he's still practicing today. I hope he has better clients. Flash me in. Because I can't find it. It took me, well, never mind. Still coughing.
I referred to some from her book manuscript that appear both in the diary version and the later typed version. The diary entry dated December 5, 1987.
I think he's lost.
A diary entry dated January 5, 1987.
What the heck is that?
Pigeons.
Pigeons.
Rhythmless pigeons.
Wow.
I believe those are the only diary entries that I've referred to.
And now, you talk a little bit about accepting of responsibility. Now, does that mean acceptance of some responsibility? Does that mean that a person has to say, I was just totally wrong with no reason whatsoever? Or am I making any sense? In other words, let me give you an example. If someone comes home, has a hard day at work, yells at their child, and then says to somebody, I was mean to my child, I had a bad day at work. Is that acceptance of responsibility?
Depends on when and to whom they say it. But yes, if they say it to the relevant people on a timely basis.
Okay. Well, for instance, in the diary, I mean, all she's doing is writing. Is that correct? In other words, she's writing it to herself, basically.
Interesting.
Well, she's writing it to herself in posterity. She began this on the recommendation of an attorney to document something for litigation.
Now, at some point in time, and also when you're documenting something for litigation, litigation is, at least your understanding, an adversary proceeding, usually.
For the parties, it is, yes.
Okay. So when somebody is documenting something as the reasons as an adversary proceeding, what they're going to be doing is looking at the things that they can use that the other person does normally.
That's what the adversaries will do, yes.
Okay. So it wouldn't be unusual in a diary that's being kept somewhat for her to use as evidence to have a lot of listings of what she thinks somebody else might have done wrong. Since it's an adversary, that's why she's keeping it.
That's a good point.
Now, at times in the diary, as the years go along, the diaries, her writings become much bigger. 1988, 1987.
Well, it's difficult to be certain of that, but it would appear there's that trend. Since she didn't always make the entries at the times they're dated, and because of the jumping around, it is hard to say, but that may be what in fact is occurring.
Now, I asked you a question about, at some point in time in the diaries, she says to herself that she needs some financial security and that she's too enraged to have the children around because she can't accept responsibility for them at that time. In other words, she recognizes her own rage and that's the cause of not having some responsibility for them. Would that be some acceptance of responsibility?
Objection, specs on evidence.
No, it's just asking a question. You can answer that.
Did you understand the question?
I do, yeah. I think the way you phrased the entry now, that is more accurate than the one before. And that, yes, that implies some recognition that she doesn't want to be responsible for them when she's feeling this way. And that that's a responsible thing to do.
Okay, so when you made the comment that there's absolutely nothing in the diary that shows any acceptance of responsibility, this would be at least something. When she talks about that this time.
I don't know if you've seen this particular diary page that has the council, but
Sure, Tom.
Okay. That was Betty's boyfriend sitting next to the daughter, right? In between her parents that they zoomed in on.
I don't think that this taken as a whole reflects much sense of responsibility. Basically, she's saying here that when she gets her money, she'll be willing to talk about custody. Right now, she's too angry to be around the children or accept any responsibility for them.
Well, she gives her reasons why she's angry, but she says that one of the problems right now with custody is that she's just too mad to have the children around, and she needs to relieve that anger so that she can deal with them. She gives a reason though, right?
is that a statement or a question?
Question.
She gives a set of reasons. She wants money, she wants her house, she wants her car, she wants her social standing, and only then will she talk about custody. And at the moment, she's too mad to be around them.
And do you know that at that time when she was dealing with Mr. Broderick, she was at least having some problems with, she didn't have any support at that time, any court-ordered support?
Well, objection, unless the doctor knows what real support Mr. Broderick was getting at that time.
Well, do you know whether there was court-ordered support? Just asking you if you know that.
No, I believe that Dan was supporting her voluntarily.
Okay. And do you know whether there was any fine system set up?
I know there came a time that there was.
And do you know whether there was any times where there was problems with, before that, no money in bank accounts?
I don't know the truth of those matters. I know what some diary entries said about it.
She was, at some point in time, there was diary entries, a number of them, about her being concerned with delays in proceedings and problems with trying to get her life back on track and self-esteem, was there not?
Objection Vegas, what's the time frame here?
Put a time in it, Mr. Earl.
Well, okay, we'll start with 1985. Any of the diary entries for the year 1985, were you aware of any where she was talking about the need to find out about what kind of property they had, whether she was going to have any control of it, if she was going to have any money from month to month?
The diary,
Objection, unless the doctor needs to base his opinion on this particular diary, I'm assuming that there is one.
Sustained.
Those closed captionings.
Well, when you were looking to see the reasons why she might have been upset and concerned about property and what property Dan had, did you consider the diary entries that talk about problems that she was having with knowing where she stood in life?
Objection big, yes, and answer.
The rules are going to answer that. Do you consider that out?
I considered everything and drew my conclusions based on the unreasonableness of some of this behavior, regardless of whatever the true facts may have been.
Okay. So you've answered the first question. You considered everything in the diary. Now, did you find any diary entries that talk about problems with self-esteem, not problems with not knowing who she was or what she had in life?
Yes,
Did the you were talking that there were some issues surrounding the children not being able to visit her when her family came from back east. You remembered one diary entry?
that's right.
Objection, I don't think that was brought out.
Overruled was. Go ahead.
Were there, do you remember when that was?
It was in cross-examination.
No, do you remember when that was in the diary?
No, I don't.
Do you remember a diary entry in August of '86 in regards to the Fenzels?
You can objection, if he wants to show him the diary, we can look at it and see whether or not it formed the basis of his opinion or was prompted.
I can overrule it, but I'd ask some questions.
Remember a diary entry such as that?
Such as what?
That in August 22nd of 1986, problems with the kids, her having the kids so they could visit with relatives.
Could I see the entry, please?
It's not something that you remember?
Oh my
Not
gosh.
the way you've just described it.
I wish I could speed just Mr. Early up, because I would, but I can't, because then it speeds Dr. Deetz up.
Right.
Do you remember a diary entry shortly after that where the Rogers family was at the beach and the kids couldn't visit at all?
I don't know.
You don't remember that?
No, I remember complaints
I
about
didn't.
where the kids would be. There are many complaints about who had the kids and when, but I don't recall that specifically.
Just refresh your memory.
Yes, this one I don't know what to make of. It just says kids couldn't visit or call. I don't know where they were at the beach, whether that's because there's no phone or they were too far away to visit. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
The do you remember an entry of when her three brothers were visiting in LA and custody was refused?
And had custody of what?
And custody was refused.
We have a short time frame here.
Is there a date on there, Mr. Early?
It's 1986.
Thank you.
Not specifically, no.
Who refused custody because she basically handed the kids over to Dan. Just stay up there, Mr. Early. Breathe.
Yes, I recall this. See, but for me, the relevance of these has to do with the fact that she would continuously complain about not having the kids when she wanted them, but sabotaged every effort that anyone made to provide her with the children.
Sir, all I asked you is, did you see this? Did you see this entry?
Sure, but I didn't rely on it for anything more than the point I just made. She complains about the things she brings about.
And there were, when you go through the diary, you can, the kids were still going to her for the things you would normally go to a mother for, like when they got hit by cars, bit by dogs, when they were left alone, there was no babysitters, when they were scared, when they thought people were breaking into the house.
Objection to the question, unless he's going to refer to another diary page or some other piece of evidence that Dr. Dietz considered vital.
hit by
That's not relevant,
cars?
I don't see the relevance of that. Any diagnosis you give so far, Mr. Maybe you can develop it.
Well, when you're talking about her entanglement, or at least her going over to the home, calling the home, finding out what Dan and Linda are spending money on, there's times in the diary where she talks about the fact that they're spending a lot of money, but their children don't have holes in their shoes. Their kids aren't taking the doctors. There's other problems that she's talking about in the diary, isn't she?
Again, let's see Larry pages.
I'll show them all the diary pages, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead. It's not necessary as far as I'm concerned. You can answer the question without looking at it.
Can you answer the question?
As soon as I understand it, I probably can. What was this one?
When we're talking about Elizabeth Broderick's, when you're talking about her moods and how she reacts to what's going on at Dan and Linda's house, what they're spending money on, did you take into consideration that what she was getting from that house and the things she was hearing and the things she was having to do?
I took into account what she said was going on.
And in the diary, she would make entries on some days, at least as to calls, things that she was seeing.
Yes.
The now, when we talked about the histrionic personality disorder, there was times that when you would look at the diary, where in one entry she would have somebody talking very nice about them. Another time she might look at them in a light where they looking at their negative qualities. Is that,
I
would
have
that be
pointed
correct?
out examples of that. I don't recall for what I used them as examples of. I think I've mentioned some times she did that as illustrations of her splitting or her black and white view of things. Sometimes as evidence of the shallow emotions of the histrionic, because the same behaviors can illustrate multiple features.
And that's also true that they see things with their emotion. In other words, if they have, if something is happening surrounding that person that is negative to them, they will see them in all negative light. If there's something good happening, they might see it in all positive light. They go to extremes.
There is that tendency to have extremes of emotion.
Okay, so when you read a page on a diary that talks about somebody, there may be something that have happened just at that time that makes it so that they'll see that their writing will reflect that emotion at the time.
That's right, and that often happens with her, that she'll get a phone call and then she'll write about being overwhelmingly depressed. And the next entry is fine.
The there were times that that she wrote in her diaries where it appeared that she tried to be like Dan Broderick by writing lots of legal terms in bold strokes. Isn't that true?
There are instances of that, yes.
Okay. And obviously, can that have something to do with her self-esteem or wanting to appear as powerful as she views Dan Broderick?
Or to fight back in kind.
You indicated that when she was not the center of attention, that she was brokenhearted over not being able to be a socialite.
Sustained.
Well, did you say anything about her not being able to have the role of a socialite?
I think that's a role that she felt the loss of, yes.
You indicate that there's also some shifts in attention that she has.
I don't recognize what you're referring to.
Okay. Were there times where she would go from one area and jump to another area that you saw?
In her diary?
Or in any of the things that you saw about her? When you were talking about the 8 categories of histrionic personality, did you talk about shifts in attention at all? You can recall.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I talked about shifts in her emotions.
Okay. And how does that work, the shifts in emotions? Is that from just going from a very happy to sad or mad to something else? So is the kind of emotions you're talking about?
The examples that I referred to on direct were her things like disowning Kim. On the occasion when Kim was eager to show her new apartment, and they had a plan, and Kim was going to visit the apartment, everything seemed to be fine. And then suddenly Kim gets a phone call from her mother after she's expected her, saying, "I suddenly remembered what a traitor you are, and I won't have anything to do with you." And mother wouldn't visit. That's a shift in emotion, and a rather dramatic one.
So when you did,
Just got a couple people that are new here, at least. So, Teresa, sorry, said your name wrong. I added an I. There's not one. So this trial took place in 1991. This is actually a retrial. Her first trial ended in a hung jury, not on guilt or innocence, but just on her level of guilt. This was the second trial that Court TV showed. So we don't have, they did not do her first trial. There's some news footage out there of her testifying, of Betty testifying in her first trial, but she's on trial because she allegedly unalived her ex-husband, Dan Broderick, and his new wife, Linda. Dan was a very high-powered attorney, and he had hired Linda to be his paralegal. They started having an affair. Dan and Betty get divorced. It's a contentious divorce, very bad. They're also really bad. They're just bad to each other. All three of them treat each other very badly, do horrible things, and Betty ends up unaliving Dan and Linda. So she claims, on one hand, self-defense. She claims on another hand that she broke into their house to go self-delete. But she's never really taken any responsibility, accountability for any of her actions in this. What I've said over and over again is those three were horrible to each other. We'll never hear Dan and Linda's side. Betty was just the most horrible. So she did awesome. She did. I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, Shenny. You hate California family courts, especially Kern County. You don't have to apologize. Born and raised there and was basically raised in it. I will be surprised if she is let go. Yeah. There's no surprise. Gabby, thank you for being a member for 18 months. Oh, yeah, let's go. Dang it, Gabby. And thank you for the super sticker. Hey, I did it right. I didn't do the shocker, and at least you didn't say I had to say automobile. Appreciate it. But you've also heard me say the word vehicle today. I've seen just new. I've seen there's some news clips here and there, flash ban, not a lot. You're welcome, Teresa. It's hard to know how much people have seen or not seen, so I never know when to kind of recap. I try to at the beginning, but I'm not always perfect about that. So I don't care to recap. Yeah, she's not gonna do that. Yeah. Because she's still angry. She's still very bitter, I think. And in her book, her new book from 2023 called Telling on Myself, from what I've read in the comments, for people that read the book and watched the trial, she's not telling on herself at all. It still leaves a lot out that was even actually in the trial. So still telling on Dan and Linda, who cannot tell on themselves. But yes, Mr. Early is, he's just Mr. Early. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about him. The arguments that the attorneys get into, though, can be more entertaining. And he does get quite upset very easily.
Read the testimony from the trial. You read some of the witnesses' testimony. Is that correct?
The ones that listed earlier, yes.
The you went through Dr. Dietz's letter, and you indicated things such as after one of the examples you gave is after 17 years, Dan never
Gabby.
took him on a vacation. Remember the part you read from the letter?
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay.
I do.
You understand that they were married for 17 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Overall interest, yeah, go ahead.
The were you aware that there was a number of times when they went on family vacations that it was not Dan's habit to go on family vacations?
Well, I knew he took them on ski trips as a family every year, and that he took them on a family trip to a dude ranch in Santa Barbara. Those were family vacations.
Okay. But you understand when they went summer, when they went camping and other things, you know Dan likes to ski, don't you?
Well, I did.
Did you know that?
I knew that he did, yes.
Did you know what he felt about camping, going on a car trip?
No.
The during the time that now going through the diary, did she talk about being in a panic over things that were happening to her in 1986 about leases, credit cards, money market funds, not having access to money?
She was complaining about money every year.
Did she talk about severe tension headaches?
She talked about headaches, many other bodily complaints, on and off.
Okay, in the diaries?
Yes, I mean, it didn't have to be very much for her to put it in the diary.
Well, for instance, how would you know that this wouldn't have to be very much for it to be in the diary? It says severe tension headache. Is there something there that tells you that is not a severe tension headache?
Not from that page, but there are other pages where she has a list of symptoms that are very clear. I think anyone medically trained would recognize that this is hypochondriacal complaining, because she talks about very minor sorts of things some of the time. That doesn't mean that she didn't have a bad headache this day.
So you're saying that sometimes in there she complained about things that weren't as serious?
That's right. Her threshold for putting a complaint in the diary does not appear to have been very high.
Did she talk about, being awake and crying all night?
There were days that she did. I think there were even a time or two when she had it for 2 days in a row of having trouble sleeping 2 days in a row, not crying all night 2 days in a row.
Did she talk about being fired from work because of attorney appointments and problems and being nervous about that?
That's what she said happened, yes.
Did she talk about her being sick, feeling sick because she misses the children?
There were times she said that.
Did she talk about day before court appearances, shaking, sick to stomach, scared of what is happening in court?
Again, Your Honor, he's going to read through the diaries unless Dr. Deetz bases his opinion on it.
Same.
Well, Dr. Deetz, you said that you went through the diary looking for some signs of whether she was any signs of depression or illness. Those physical symptoms can be symptoms of depression, can't they? Scared, shaking, crying, feeling sick.
Not unless the person has the depressive syndrome at that time. The rest of that particular entry made me think that this was histrionic, because as I recall, that's a diary entry that goes on to say that she's completely unprepared because she has no lawyer. She'd already gotten rid of lawyers by that time, and she was very prepared.
Well, this is July 16th, 1986. Were you aware that Mr. Jaffe had never been paid the money he requested?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
What lawyer did you know that she had fired by July 16th, 1986?
That was, well, Mr. Jaffe for one, but that, this state, I don't think he made that statement.
Sustained.
What lawyer had she gotten rid of by July 16th, 1986?
I think Mr. Jaffe.
And it was your understanding that that Mr. Jaffe never tried to get the money from her.
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did she talk about that when she received some papers from Mr. Ashworth that she would get so upset that she would quit, shaking bed feels like an earthquake?
Same objection as well.
Asked and answered.
She did not hit a turkey flash fan. Also, those things, those symptoms or whatever he was describing there sounded more like being anxious and anxiety and scared than depression. I'm not saying she wasn't depressed. I'm not a doctor. But that's like she was worried. She was anxious. That to me, like, yeah, that would be normal. Or you're getting ready to go into a divorce hearing. You don't have an attorney.
Did she talk about for a period of time that she couldn't sleep, felt like she was getting ulcers?
She wrote that, yes.
She talked about getting headaches and the kids giving up on asking to see her, talking about breaking her heart.
I don't recall that passage.
They did let a lot of what Betty did go. She allegedly vandalized Dan's house, burned his clothes. According to Betty, bumped into his front door with her car. She crashed into his front door with her car. It wasn't a bump. It wasn't a love tap. She crashed into his house. They let a lot of that stuff go. They didn't really, I don't know if Dan just wasn't pressing charges on her. At one point, she did check herself into, I think she checked herself into the psychiatric hospital, or they put her on a hold or something, but she left on her own before that. She didn't get any help. But they didn't let this one go. They didn't let this part go. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I don't know if they could have stopped it or not. It was kind of like a perfect storm, I guess, that was brewing. She escaped. Yeah, she crashed into the front door and said, honey, I'm home. And it's like, didn't even know where her kids were. She knew they were in the house, though. She just assumed they were in another part of the house and not the one she was going to hit. She just tried to make his life easier. Drive-through house, like he saw his marriage was a drive-through marriage. She just did her own reconstruction. I'm telling you, if she just would have hung in there, there would have been more. There would have been more Lindas. There would have been more Bettys. I'm telling you. She did not catapult her children onto the dinner table. Gabby. They didn't go flying through the sunroof. None of that happened. That did not happen.
This portion doesn't say what she's referring to. preceding page may have the rest of the passage.
You have just their headaches and giving up asking to see. Is that correct?
Right.
You don't remember this page at all?
No.
Did she talk about before seeing her attorney, sometimes she would be up all night worrying? She was afraid she was losing control over her case and what was going on.
Yes, that's right.
Did she talk about not sleeping for a week because being worried about what was going to happen in court?
She said that at one point, which I thought was another example of histrionic exaggeration. It's not biologically possible to go without sleep for a week.
Did she talk about that she, you remember her talking about July 8th, 87, she couldn't sleep, scared of being alone?
There was an occasion when she said that. I don't recall when it was.
Yeah, the council's going to continue to leave these entries unless it's going to relate to some portion of Dr. Deetz's opinion. It's irrelevant.
Sustained.
I ask the court to order. Counsel.
That's another question.
Sir, when you said there was very little in her diary entries that would talk about being depressed, did you consider
Objection, I misstates the evidence. You didn't say that.
Sustained.
well, it's not your opinion that going through the diaries that there's not very much about her being, there's not very much evidence about her depression in there?
No, that's not my opinion.
The did you consider this page in the diary when you were looking at her depression?
Yes, I considered this page.
The
Because I said so.
she talks about being upset about not seeing her kids, does she not?
She says, I'm sick, I miss my kids terribly, and then has Mr. Yuck face she drew.
Now, sometimes at least some losses can precipitate some depression, can it not? Or the feeling of loss?
Any loss can precipitate a depression or a state of sadness. The question has to do with how long one stays sad and sleepless and gaining weight or losing weight and losing interest in this whole cluster of symptoms. What I've said is that the evidence in her entire history doesn't support her having had a major depressive episode. Yet there have been many times she's been depressed, angry, moody, in response to all manner of things.
There were times when she talked about her anxiety level and depressive level being very up or very down and feeling about that in the middle of the night, didn't she?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
The talking about being afraid about being alone, afraid of people. Is that a sign of depression?
Being alone and being afraid of people.
Yeah, being afraid to be alone, and because you're afraid of people that just may come to your house.
That could be an indication of a borderline trait. It could be an indication of feeling anxious. It could be paranoid. It could be depressed. It could be somebody who's feeling insecure that evening. It doesn't have to be pathological.
Now, some days she talked about just not sleeping or reading papers or opening mail or returning calls for days at a time, did she not?
There were days she wouldn't open the mail, especially legal mail.
And she wasn't returning calls?
Right.
Now, again, it's hard to track day to day and week to week because her diary entries may be 2 in a row and then there may be not anything for 3 or 4 weeks. Is that right?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did she have a diary entry about problems not only with her personality, her pocketbook, and self-esteem, but just drying up her creative juices, not caring about entertaining, decorating foods, talking about now only being depressed?
That's one where she says that she used to be so good at those things, a bunch of O's in the so, and now doesn't want to decorate.
Lavi, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm laughing. I have him sped up. I just can't speed him up anymore. He does speak very slowly. I can't speed him up anymore because then it makes Dr. Deetz a little bit too fast. But no, I actually have it sped up. Flashman, I have not overruled anything. You've been taking jabs at me. I don't get you. But no, I don't have it sped up a ton, but just because of the reasons that I said. But we're almost done. You probably had time to make that yogurt too if you were listening to Mr. Early. He is. It's like if paint made a sound when it dried, it would be Mr. Early. That's why I needed to get the Bueller thing, because he just also looks like the teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But I forgot to get it. Whoops. Because I only thought about getting it when I was in my car and couldn't, and then I would forget. See you, Ronnie. Have fun at the school board meeting. They're probably a little bit more exciting these days. Sorry. Okay, good. I always get nervous that I'm pronouncing people's names wrong. Oh, yikes. Yeah, that's when Flashman said he's working with Alan Jackson. I'm like, Alan Jackson's going to have to slow way down. He'll be like 4 times down the mile around the track, and Mr. Early's going to be like, I'm still at the starting gate.
Yeah, I think the way it was phrased there shows more than just feelings of sadness. I don't recall all the language.
Well, would you like to read it?
Thank you. I have.
Take your word for it. I'm not familiar.
Thank you.
Now, she does talk in the passage about the things that she used to be good at and no longer does. Is that correct?
The thing she used to be creative at and isn't doing now.
Okay, and she indicates, now I'm only depressed.
Right.
Okay.
She's not throwing parties, entertaining.
Now, that's one of the things that in at least some sign of depression, that people lose interest in things that they used to have an interest in before.
It can be, but it could also be that the circumstances changed for her, so that she didn't have the same occasion to decorate or cook or entertain.
The I have no further questions. Redirect.
No questions, Your Honor.
Nope.
Dr. Excused.
Okay.
Mr. Early, objection?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Play next witness.
I didn't think there was any more. Maybe I forgot one.
Your Honor, at this point, I wanted to actually have Mark as Peoples next to
Good
So
grief.
cassette tape. Yes.
Mark tape 115. Do you have a transcript?
Yes, I do.
Mark, one copy of the transcript, 115A. Is it, but before we pass those out, is this the, make sure I'm thinking about the right one? This one, there's going to be a stipulation as to the foundation?
Yes, there's a stipulation that this is a tape of Elizabeth Broderick in a conversation with her son, Rat.
So stipulate? Set stipulation, all right, pass out.
Okay, so there's not a witness. I don't know if you could hear her or not. This is a conversation that Betty Broderick had with her son, Rhett, which didn't we hear that? I don't know, probably not the same one. There was like a 45-minute phone call that Betty had with her son. I thought it was Rhett, where it was recorded. And we basically listened to her son beg her to stop saying bad words. Those are the words that he used, because she was getting in trouble with the courts because she could not refer to just his dad as his dad. It was the mother effer. Linda was the see you next Tuesday. But not like I just said it. I'm trying to be nice. So I don't know what we're getting ready to hear. We've been able to, we were able to hear the first one pretty well because she puts it right up to the microphone. So I don't know. So just beware. Could be a lot of language in it. I don't know whose chair it is. I thought it was this one of the state's chairs, but now I'm thinking it's one of the jurors' chair. Because the TV camera's back there. I don't know. I know. Trust me, I know. Like that's why I said I just want to roll them off a cliff. Like just send them over the edge, into the ocean, into the abyss. I don't care. What is that? The Mariana Trench. Just put them there. Like they are awful. Worst ever. All right, let's see. There's nobody testifying, Flash Fan. She's getting ready to play another conversation between Betty and her son, Rhett. Wow. Gross. Yeah. Yeah, they played it all. They have played it all. And this is back when they showed the pictures of the crime scene and the victims. So there was some graphic stuff at the very beginning of this trial. I don't know if she'll show them again in closing. We'll find that out tomorrow. But let's see what we've got going on. Also in this trial, they had the jury sorry, I don't want to compete with the chair. They had the jury pass the firearm around that Betty used so that they could pull the trigger. It was insane. They're just like, here, you just pass it around, pull the trigger if you want to. Cursey words, heavens to Betsy. Nothing you would have ever said in your entire life. Because you are one of the nicest people I know. Even with your big fish. Yeah, they don't like it in person. Although I've heard a lot of court hearings here recently where people do. And I've heard judges cuss from the bench when they're just talking in court on the record. So it's getting a little different, and that's recent. That's very, very recent. Yeah, Tracy, they passed. Oh yes, Flashman, very much for real. I was shocked the first time I heard it, but I've heard it several times. Yeah, they passed the firearm around to the jury. And I think that was the defense wanted. The defense has made some weird moves in this trial. But it was the defense that wanted, I believe, if I remember that correctly, we've been doing this for so long. I'm sure it was Mr. Early that brought that up and had them pass that around. Because it was objected to, but the judge's like, go ahead. Okay, Carmen. I don't know what her defense is. Seems to, they were mean to me. I don't know. But current book is self-defense. Oh my.
Before you start, both counsel stipulate my reporter does not have to transcribe the tape. I have to take this down. Mr. Early?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
No, not coming here for the exchange? No. Why not? No, he just said no. What are you gonna do over there? I don't know. What's the matter? My stomach. Well, I'm gonna make a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving dinner with all my wonderful food, and the Borsons are coming, and the McKelsons are coming, and the Sarahs are coming. We're all gonna have a wonderful time, and you guys need to be here. You don't belong in the. And your father is drunken, divorced friends like last year. Remember last year the said your father had. Yeah. She was right. But he's a rich, and she's too smart to walk out on him.
So you're not going to hear the words because at some point in time, and it's been very hit or miss, and this is not a time to hit. This is a time to miss court TV. They're editing out any of the cuss words that Betty's saying, so it's really making this choppy. That is really, that's surprising. Hello. Michael Green Chili Chicken. How are you? You came in at the end of the last stream. Yes, the chair is sounding, it needs to be put out of its misery. So I don't know if this is a continuation. Well, I don't know. He said that he wasn't coming over for Thanksgiving, and then she's telling him all the great things she's going to do. So contradicts what her defense attorney just said. How sad she was. All right.
Well, where's Lily? Is she still there or did she go away?
What?
Lily's still in the room you're in or did she go away?
No way.
Poor little Muffy, I put her out back to get some exercise in the sunshine and she's crying at the back door. She wants her baby back. There's 3 babies left now.
What?
Only 3 babies left.
Like, oh, only fish.
Oh, they drink milk out of a bowl. If you put a bowl of milk down, they go. I haven't given them any food yet, but they're kind of cute. And they haven't got fluffy yet. You know how they get fluffy, like when you got yours, she was fluffy.
Yeah. You have to give any away. No one else to get up. We're giving one away. We're giving one away already. To that girl that was at your meeting.
We're giving 3 away.
Mom,
I can't keep them. Nobody's here to play with them. They poop all over them.
can we keep one?
We were going to keep the runt, but it died.
Can we keep another one?
No, we're going to do a puppy together and get them again. No, the lady who was at the meeting gets 1. The girl who does my nails gets 1. And Cannon Christopher is getting the little boy 1.
On the record, or?
Yes,
You and I we have Topsy and nothing. We have our dog, Muffy, for that.
No, I want a baby.
You had a baby, Muffy.
A cute baby.
Muffy was a cute baby.
No, I want to raise
Muffy was over here, and you missed her growing up because Daddy's such a... Right?
Right.
So why give you another baby and then you miss growing up again? But I hate to tell you this, but you gotta learn to stick up for yourself, and you gotta speak up to Daddy. He's killing you all. He's ruining your lives and killing you, and you've got to speak up and fight back.
I'm not dead.
Yeah, well, maybe you're not dead physically, but emotionally you're dead. You don't have anyone that loves you or cares about you over there, and he mistreats you, treats you like a little piece of shit. And he's a cold-hearted... What kind of a parent is that?
A cold one.
Bad one. Very, 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 very bad one. And you shouldn't put up with it anymore. You should tell him to you and Lily and Danny should say, and come over here. Tell him to drop dead and go away. And then you'll be happy over here. God, stick up to him. He's a maniac. He is a raving mental maniac.
That's why Lena want to stick up to him.
Just get away. Just get over here.
Oh, God.
I'll get the police to beat the shit out of him.
Do it.
What?
Do it.
Well, first you gotta get over here. I can't just send the police over there.
Why?
Because he's not doing anything wrong over there. But if you can't tell the judges and the police that you want to be here, and you get here, then there's no leg to stand on. Not a leg to stand on.
Only his good part.
What?
He takes the good part. Cut.
What?
You'll never bring them.
Oh, you.
Okay.
Well, what will you tell him?
But I'm not allowed to live there.
Maybe I'll come over and I'll bring the TV cameras and the police with me today. Would you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
I would like to do it too.
I can't do.
Ask Lily if she wants me to do it. Come rescue her today. This is like getting the hostages out of Lebanon. The Iranian hostages have to do a sneak attack.
Who the Iranians?
People from Iran.
So,
They're always making war on everybody and being jerks. And they take people hostage and won't let them go. And I think that has you guys hostage. He has you hostage, little prisoners. They won't let you go. You're prisoners of war. Poor babies. Could you call Danny and talk to me?
what?
Is Danny anywhere where you see him?
No.
Like here or anything?
No.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
I just heard a little boy's voice. Maybe it's Danny. Maybe he's over here.
No.
Say, Mom.
So the only way to say,
Yeah. Sounds like he's coming up the private road. Wouldn't that be a surprise if he came here?
yeah.
That was a surprise that day you came here, remember?
What's a,
From the beach.
yeah.
I hear kids down on the beach playing.
You know, it says down when he's playing.
What, honey?
Did you hear people at the beach playing?
Yeah, I hear them yelling. And I hear the waves crashing. And I hear Buffy going, "Shut your baby." Rex, when are you going to get over here?
Don't know.
When he tells you you can't come for Thanksgiving, don't you say anything back? Or you just say, oh. Uh-oh, Buffy, stop it. Buffy, stop.
What's she doing?
You're waiting for the baby. Well, go fight, beat up Daddy.
What? Mom? Mom?
She didn't even say goodbye.
Have a short witness.
Well, Your Honor, I would anticipate my portion of the witness will take about 15 minutes on the whole on Crossford site.
This, Mr.
They
Rowe.
want to go.
All right.
It's fine.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our weekend Thanksgiving recess at this time. Please remember the admonition not to discuss the case among yourselves nor allow anyone else to discuss it with you, nor form any opinions until it's finally submitted to you. Have a very nice Thanksgiving weekend. See you Monday at 9 o'clock.
Oh, I got him on a good pause. I love this judge. She was yelling at Bucky, whoever Bucky was. And then she just gone. I guess she did hung up on him because it's not like a cell phone, I guess, or you just put it down. Well, Fluffy Betty doesn't say bye because she's fluffy. we just, for anybody, we are not making fun of Betty's weight. Her defense attorney called all of Betty's quote unquote friends who all testified to that Betty got fat. All of them. It was crazy. I mean, one was like, she just was so over the top. She's like, she gained an enormous amount of weight. I'm like, holy crap. You guys are all about to meet the fate of Dan and Linda. I think that's my favorite pause of the judge so far. And his little decanter up here. Wait. I don't know when you guys can see. You can't see my cursor. Well, you can see the decanter. But he's been a good judge. He doesn't let him, he lets him go a little bit before he reels him in. I'm not scary, but I don't like to be hung up on. Especially like those phones like Betty just did. I would have been an angry person. And I think Rhett, if I remember correctly, if that's the first son that we heard the conversation with, he was 11 at the time. So that was putting him through quite a bit. So, okay. So tomorrow, she said she had one more witness. I didn't see that. I did not see another witness. I just see closing arguments starting tomorrow. I'll check and make sure, but I think we just go straight to closings. Yep. Maybe. Sometimes they trick me. Yeah, it looks like Mr. Early. Looks like Mr. Early reads something and then we go to closing. Oh yeah, I can't imagine if I would have ever hung up on my mom. That's probably where I learned to not like to be hung up on. What's up, Bree? Hello. I spent a little time outside today. Maybe that's why. It's hot in here though. So that might be why. I don't know. Yeah, there is no, like I said, it looks like Mr. Early reads something and then we're at closings. So, owie. That's true. Is my neck red too, Zach? I don't know. My mom has never said hang up on me and you will love being alive. Oh man. I don't think I would not have had the nerve to hang up on my mom. Mm-mm. We did not. You are telling if by pregame you mean we were on the phone, then that's why. Yeah. Saint. Okay. If you hung up on your mom, you'd be missing teeth. Wow. I know. Gabby, I know you pretty much have zero regrets about your decisions, and that's why it's great. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I am cracking up. Sorry. I remember I didn't swear at my mom. I was in my bedroom and I was very mad at her. I think I had just graduated high school or I was getting ready to graduate high school. So I was a teenager that was very, full of myself. And I don't know, she said something and she was downstairs and I was upstairs and I don't remember what I said. I just know I accidentally said it loud enough that she heard me and, and her little feet could not get her up those stairs into my bedroom fast enough to tell me to not ever do that again. And I didn't. Zach, your mom is very sweet, but if I hung up on her, she would send out disappointment rays for days. Disappointment rays. I'm going to use that one. Oh my gosh. That wow is what happens when both sides of the family have ornery and meanness in them. Oh yeah, you're not even the terrible twos yet. You're just at one and she still loves you and just is so happy to see you. And then one day she's gonna be like, Mom, stop it. You cussed at your mom and she made you repeat it to the pastor. That would stop me too. You're impervious to yelling, but disappointment raise. Yell at Zach all you want, doesn't care. But send out disappointment raise and he's done. He's done for. Oh my. Oh yes. Don't worry. She'll catch it on video. Don't you worry. I wonder we'll have. We still be. How smart will our phones be by then? I'm kind of scared. Phew. All right. I turn my glasses off because it is hot in here. I think that's why my cheeks are so red. Yes, you did. Yes, my brother did flip off my dad and did not realize that the mirror was right there. My brother's 10 years older than me. And my dad had his ring on from college, and my brother flipped him off. My dad saw it, and he turned that ring over, and he comes in and just like thumps my brother on the head. My dad doesn't like to tell like that story to be told. He feels very bad about it to this day. It's been decades ago. But we all laugh at it. All right. Anyway, okay. 6 p.m. tomorrow. Sorry that I started a little bit early tonight. But I don't anticipate that happening tomorrow, but you never know. Be flexible with me for just a little bit. We'll do the state's closing argument tomorrow. We'll do the defense's closing argument on Wednesday. I'm not doing them together because the state's is over an hour and the defense is, I think it's either almost 2 or at just right over 2. Then on Thursday, we will do the state's rebuttal, which is it's about an hour. I'm going to skip jury instructions unless anybody's just dying to hear them. I'll probably still skip them. And then we will do the verdict. And then I know I said we would finish this up last week, but I didn't realize that the sentencing phase was almost 2 hours long. So I don't want to do a 4-hour stream on Thursday. So we're going to do that on Monday. So then I promise, well, I don't promise anything because I don't. We're going to try our best to finish up on Monday, a week from today. That's the plan. Who knows? We will try to stick to it. I will not do, and I don't plan to do jury instructions, but I know they're so important. Stop it. So that's the plan. But thank you all so much for hanging out. All of you that are new here, welcome. Those of you that came over from Baker and stuck around, thank you so, so much. Hope to see you back. And Zach, I hope to see you back with your liver spotted hands and all. Or I will send out disappointment raise for days, just like your mom. And because I'm old enough, I can do that. So I will see you guys all back tomorrow. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and I would appreciate it so much on your way out. And I will see you guys tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy the rest of your night.